All right, everybody. Welcome to largely the end of the Norse unit, right? We're gonna have obviously a test and a project on it, but this is the last story of the Norse. So this is the story about Ragnarok, which is the end of days. We've talked about it a couple of times, and we know it exists. Now we're actually gonna kind of dive in and see what exactly it is that happens to what the Vikings believed would have been the end of the world. So this is the Viking Armageddon, right? This is the end of the world, and it begins with the death of or with the creation, sorry, of Loki's three children, right? Um, the world snake, the Fenrir, the giant wolf, and Hel, right? Loki's three children. But Baldur's death, right, through Loki's trickery, is what actually kicks off Ragnarok. And it's fought over 3 winters over and over and over again, right? And you're going to see a lot of symmetry to this, right? So one side doesn't really come out winning, right? It's the end of the world. Everybody's gone. So you're going to see how there's this kind of symmetry in all the deaths and things like that as it happens. So after Loki's death, we see a punishment that is very Greek kind of in its nature. You might recall, we didn't actually do anything on Prometheus, but this is somewhat similar to Prometheus's punishment for bringing fire to people. So Prometheus's punishment was that he was bound to a rock, and every day a giant eagle would come and eat his intestines. And then because he was a god, he would regrow them, and the eagle would come again the next day. And this would just happen over and over and over again. It's similar to Tantalus's punishment in Tartarus, right, where he is tempted with food and water that is always just like right out of reach, right? He's got food that's right above him, and he's up to his neck in water, but every time he goes to bend down to drink, it goes below, and every time he reaches up to grab the food, it goes away. Or Sisyphus, right, who is constantly pushing a giant boulder up a hill. Loki's punishment is to be tied to a rock where a snake spits venom into his face every day and hurts him. But Ragnarok starts with a giant earthquake that breaks all of the bonds in the universe, including the bonds of Tyr on Fenrir, which allows him to wreak havoc, as one might guess. So here we see a fun representation of a potential end of the world. You can see, Valkyries, gods flying. You have the world snake right here, nice and in the middle. You've got Fenrir, or maybe Garm, is kind of hard to tell which one's which. Most likely Odin, if I had to guess. You have giants, and just a good depiction of the kind of chaos that is going to herald the end of all things for the Norse. So in Muspel, that fiery realm, that's part of the 9 worlds. The fire giants that live there are going to break the Bifrost Bridge. So the Bifrost Bridge is obviously what Heimdall guards, and it's what allows people to travel in between the 9 worlds. So yeah, they break the Bifrost Bridge, and Loki leads the rest of the giants toward Valhalla for this final battle, and where everyone is going to die. Spoilers. So Odin fights Fenrir, the wolf that has been released once that earthquake breaks all the bonds in the universe, including Loki's and Fenrir's. So he fights Fenrir, he fights valiantly, but in the end he's eaten by the wolf. Tyr, the one who originally bound the wolf, ends up killing the beast by like ripping its jaws open, which is really horrifying when you think about it. But he avenges his father. So to be fair, the wolf did kill his dad. He was very upset about it. So Tyr kills Fenrir. Fenrir kills Odin. So again, you can see that kind of symmetry of no sides really coming out on top. So Thor kills Jormungandr, the world serpent, who he hates. I don't know why. I don't know if they ever explain why he hates him so much, but that's just like every time I read about Thor, it's like Thor hates the world serpent, which cracks me up. I just kind of have this idea of Thor being angry at what is an animal. I mean, I think it's supposed to be slightly smarter than an animal, but anyway, so Thor kills the world serpent, but in killing it, it bites him, and he's only able to take 9 steps before he falls from the creature's venom. So again, symmetry. Thor kills the snake, but the snake also kills Thor. So in this final battle, Tyr fights the hellhound Garm. So Tyr evidently is just a dog fighter. That's his thing. But with both of them end up killing the other. Again, it's very similar to Thor and the World Snake, right? Tyr kills the hellhound. The hellhound kills him at the same time. But with Garm dead, no one is guarding Hell, right? Which is the Viking underworld, the place where the not valiant warriors go. So there's all these dead warriors that didn't get to go to Valhalla that are in Hell. Garm is what was keeping them in there from coming up to the earth. He's now dead, so they come up and they fight in Valhalla and help with the general world-breaking aspect of this fight. Heimdall and Loki fight and kill each other. So again, no one's winning. Nobody wins in this. And you can see here this fun depiction of them stabbing each other at the exact same time. So Loki and Heimdall are dead. Odin and Thor are dead. Tyr is dead. Fenrir's dead. Garm's dead. The big snake's dead. You might notice a theme. So at the end of it, there's the biggest fire giant, Surtur, brandishes the Sword of Vengeance, which is this big flaming sword, and he will burn all 9 worlds, right? So you actually, if you watched Thor Ragnarok, the movie, you saw this. You saw him destroy Asgard, but he's also supposed to destroy everything else. They kind of left that little bit out where he destroys Earth too. So yeah, he destroys everything in this fire, including himself. So the entirety of the world ends with him. But it's not actually the end. So Surtur destroys the world, but it's not actually the end. So again, there's a cyclical property to all of these stories where, and we see this in myths and stories all throughout different cultures, where we have a world-ending disaster, like a flood or whatever. We have this world-ending disaster where then the world reemerges new and cleaner and better at the end of it. And this happens with Norse mythology as well. So Yggdrasil is not killed in this because Yggdrasil is everything. So the sons of some gods and 2 humans, obviously a male and a female, emerge from Yggdrasil and they repopulate the world, and we have a more perfect and more beautiful world that will come at the end of Ragnarok. So for the Vikings, this wasn't the end, right? For the Norse, Ragnarok was not the end of everything. It was a new beginning. And in that way, it's very similar to those kind of catastrophic stories of lots of different religions and mythologies and that kind of thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed Norse mythology. Make sure that you take notes for your unit test and make sure you finish up your project. Bye, guys.